Ron DeSantis just completely nuked Kamala Harris live on Fox News because Kamala Harris is trying to play the victim card right now as Ron DeSantis, as Governor DeSantis is trying to deal with a coming catastrophe, a disaster, complete chaos in Florida. He's saying that he does not have time for her games, and I absolutely love to see it. So we are going to talk about that. Another thing we're going to talk about is President Trump was just on the Flagrant podcast, and I'm reminded in this little short clip from it of how great of a communicator he is, especially whenever you put him side by side with Kamala Harris. Speaking of a side by side comparison with Kamala Harris, this podcast that just went live this morning already has more views than Kamala Harris's podcast with Call Her Daddy. Yes, the Call Her Daddy episode that people were saying, "Oh my gosh, this is gonna move the needle. This is gonna bring Gen Z and women to vote for," like, this podcast posted, like, 8, 9 hours ago, already has more views, but no one's talking about it, and I think that is just so hypocritical. Another thing that is really hypocritical is this woman who has almost 2 million followers just called out the Democratic Party for offering to pay her $15,000 to promote Kamala Harris, right? And we've talked about this before. We've said, yeah, there's some people who are being paid money to promote the Democratic Party, and they are not as genuine as they seem. It's absolutely crazy what's happening today. So I'm really excited to talk about it. But we are going to start here with Governor DeSantis just being a complete boss. And just for a second, I just want to say, with what's happening right now in Florida and these national disasters that have also hit other states, like, look at this headline I just saw from CNN. Hurricane Milton's worst is arriving right now in Florida. This was shared minutes ago. And I just want to say, I want to open up the comment section for people to write their thoughts and their prayers, just sending out just so much love to Florida. If you're also from Florida, if that's your home state, I just want to send a lot of love and prayers your way. I am with you. I am devastated by what's happening, and yeah, you are in my thoughts. You are in my prayers. I'm praying for miracles. I'm praying that you guys have enough food and water. I'm praying that these shelters are being able to take care of people. I'm praying that families are together. I'm praying that all of what's important, which is people, which is you and me, I'm asking that that is taken care of. I'm asking that people are taken care of. I'm praying for that miracle. And if you guys want to join me in that, you're more than welcome in the comment section. If that's not your juice, totally fine. Now let's get on with the video. But I did want to share that. Okay, back to Ron DeSantis being a gangster. Check this out.
And I heard what you said about Vice President Harris in the phone call. Did she ever get through?
You know, Brett, like I said, my job is to marshal resources and work with everybody to have an effective response. And she thinks it should be about her. If I honestly thought that there was something to be gained, I would pick up the phone and call her. The fact of the matter is she has no role in this process. She's not part of the chain of command. I am working with President Biden and FEMA and our state and local partners, and we're getting the job done. She has never been interested in any of the storms we've had in the state of Florida for her entire time as vice president. Now she's out there attacking me because I'm not catering to her whims. All she's trying to do is inject herself to be a part of her political campaign. I don't have time for political games. We've got a job to do. We got people's lives on the line, and that is our sole focus.
Well, most importantly, hopefully everyone gets through this okay. We're praying for your state. Governor, we appreciate the time.
Thanks.
Ron DeSantis taking the gloves off and going for Kamala Harris. That is insane. And honestly, it's really insane for Kamala Harris to be trying to campaign on this and use this terrifying, destructive moment for political gain. And a lot of people are just honoring Governor DeSantis about this, right? I look at this. He's not playing politics. He's literally fighting a war against Milton. He doesn't have time to chat. One of the top comments here. That is so good. I also saw this video from, looks like a woman named Sassafras. I don't know if you guys follow her, but I saw this and it's just a video of DeSantis looking so wrecked and torn and hurting for his people. And when I see this, I'm just like, man, this guy just deeply cares about his people. He deeply cares about what's happening. He deeply cares about doing a good job and just being the leader that Floridians need. And I love this caption. She says, bless this man. He knows Florida is about to be wrecked. He knows over 22 million people live here and are in jeopardy of Hurricane Milton. Lift a prayer up for Governor DeSantis. The weight on his shoulders is heavy. You could just, it's so evident. If you look at this video, it is so clear. The man is burdened. He is dealing with worry and anxiousness. And I do think he needs our prayers. Yeah. I also know that Benny Johnson is from Florida and he shared this he's about to get hit too. And he shared this beautiful tweet with his children. And he says, God can have my house. God can have my car. God can have my studio. God can have all my earthly possessions. I may return home to nothing, but everything of value is safe right here. All that matters in this life are the things you can't replace. Protect them at all costs. Now, you could agree with him, disagree with this man, disagree with his political alignment, disagree with his content, sure. But I don't think something you can disagree with him is his priorities. And I just love that he is elevating that conversation. He's taking care of his family and he's just disregarding anything else that could be taken away. And he's just protecting them. Good for him. Now, I did want us to look at this conversation with President Trump. Just because this is kind of the funny positive politics that we see that I wanted to share because I also do think this is necessary. But check this out. This is President Trump on Andrew Scholl's podcast called Flagrant.
So it's one of those things. I was saying before, though, that, I do a thing called a weave. Yeah. And there are those that are fair that say, this guy is so genius. And then others would say, oh, he rambled. I don't ramble. If I saw
I was going to give a little bit of context, but I think they're about to give the context right now.
the story, what you do is you weave things and you do it. You have to have certain things. You need an extraordinary memory because you have to come back to where you started.
Yes.
You always, a weave is only good
They
if
don't
you
give you
come
credit
back.
for that.
It's true.
That you can go all the way over here and then
I
get
can
back.
go so far.
He's talking about how he communicates. So he's talking about his ability to interconnect completely different subject matters into one cohesive thought. Okay. And he's calls it weaving. He says, I don't ramble, I weave. There's a minute left, but I felt like I had to give that context.
Are here or there. And I can come back to exactly where I started. Now, someday when you don't come back to where you started,
You're Biden.
then you say, no, but the weave is the way. When you're telling like a story, I was telling a story at a rally the other day in front of thousands of people. And I started off, and then
You were weaving them up.
something in the story,
Bro.
I actually mentioned Air Force One. It was Air Force One was there. So I mentioned Air Force One, and then I said how I got $1.6 billion off the price of Air Force One. So, but then you have to come back to the story. Where was Air Force One taking you? So anyway, I do a weave. I call it the weave. And some people think it's so genius, but the bad people, what they say is, he was rambling.
Yeah.
It's not a ramble. There's no rambling.
This is a
with it.
weave.
This is a weave.
So
I call it the weave. Good name. I'm not.
And I also want to say that, in my study of communication, like so many great communicators do this. They don't ramble, but they take longer to explain certain things. And part of that is because people actually remember the story better, or they remember what you want them to remember if you use metaphors, if you use analogies, if you actually bring up different stories from different parts of your life and you make it make sense. Now, part of something that comes to mind right now is I look at the scriptures and I think about how Jesus actually chose to communicate with his followers. And I just love that Jesus chooses to use parables to communicate with thousands of people. Why? Because because even Jesus knew that storytelling and your ability to capture an audience through a narrative is more impactful than simply telling them, "Hey, actually adultery is bad. Hey, don't sin. Hey, don't drink." He knew that it's more impactful to tell you a story on, "Oh, this is what the farmer did, and this is actually a metaphor for this." Like that is how you capture people. And I see that a lot. And you know what? Some people are like, "How dare you compare President Trump to Jesus?" Like, "Hey, I'm not comparing anyone to anything. I'm talking about communicators and storytelling, okay? So if you have some TDS, all right, don't take that out on me, okay? I'm just connecting some dots over here from what I'm saying. Anyways, I also wanted us to talk about Kamala Harris on Call Her Daddy and comparing that to President Trump being on Flagrant. I don't know if you guys so many people were saying that Call Her Daddy with Kamala Harris was gonna move the needle deeply. Like, this was gonna be the game changer. Her being on this, informal interview type style with someone as large as Alex Cooper on Call Her Daddy. This was going to be insane. This is gonna get the woman vote. This is gonna get the Gen Z vote. This is going to be monumental. But what happened? Well, it really didn't do so hot. This has 500,000 views over 2 days. It not the best, and especially when you compare it to Flagrant with President Trump, 500,000 views over 7 hours. That is now I do wanna say these are incredible views on both of them, okay? Like, I don't wanna call this out at all, but it seemed like this conversation was put on a pedestal that didn't live up to the hype. It seemed like more people were talking about, "Oh, this is gonna be significant," but then when I actually, when push came to shove, it really didn't amount to anything. So who knows? Could this end up getting more views? Of course. Another thing that I think is important to know is this conversation on Flagrant is I believe an hour and a half, while this conversation on Call Her Daddy's official page is 7 minutes. So I'm assuming that Call Her Daddy actually has a relationship with Spotify that prevents them from posting complete episodes. But you could say the same thing about Flagrant. Like they posted the complete episode on YouTube, but they also posted the complete episode on Spotify. So I know the metrics are a little skewed, but I think at the end of the day, what's going to have more impact is actually Trump being on Flagrant. But I also know the perspective of saying, oh, well, actually, Trump has way more media appearances than Flagrant. I mean, Trump has more media appearances than Kamala Harris. So that doesn't actually make sense. So simply Kamala Harris being Kamala Harris and showing up on an untraditional podcast, that'll have more impact just because it happened. So there's this story or there's this concept between the story is more important than what actually happened. You know what I mean? Like it's not what actually happened in the interview, right? Or what was said or how many views it had, but it's the fact that it happened. Right? It's not that Kamala Harris said the best thing on Call Her Daddy, but it's the fact that Kamala Harris went on a podcast called Call Her Daddy. And that's the big deal. So I do think when we look at these kind of Gen Z oriented type of shows that have a large young audience, I think that's how you kind of need to look at it. It's not even that these are where the most information is had or where a lot of people dive into policies. I don't think that moves the needle. To me, it's the fact that they are they are there. Right? It's the fact that they go on these podcasts. It's the fact that they are present with people and that You know, maybe you're not going to be someone who watches the almost 2 hour long podcast with President Trump, right? But maybe you will watch it if it's on Flagrant, right? Because he's had this podcast, the same thing on Lex Fridman, but maybe you didn't see that one, right? Because maybe you're not into it. Or maybe you're someone who likes billionaires. Maybe you like Elon Musk and you like President Trump. So then you listen to the conversation with Elon and President Trump on X. And that was a multi-hour conversation as well. So to me, you see the concept of just being there. You make yourself available for the people who actually want to listen or will engage in that specific format. So I think that's what's happening on both sides. I think Kamala Harris is making herself available to a very specific group of people, which is the Call Her Daddy audience. And I think that's great, right? I want to see more of that. But also, Trump is doing the same exact thing. I think what I'm trying to say is that they are both playing the same game. But I think at the end of the day, the pure volume of moments that Trump has, because he's actually doing these appearances, I think that's going to have more impact in the long run, because Kamala Harris has actually been so skewed in her focus, so selective. So that's my interpretation. But you could let me know what you think about that. I spent way too much time talking about that. I am so sorry. I also wanted us to talk about Madeline Pendleton. This is the video that she shared on TikTok. Okay, I'm only going to play like the first 40 seconds of it, but I think it's really important. Check this out.
Did you guys know that the Democratic Party is paying people on TikTok thousands and thousands of dollars to make videos talking about how awesome the Democratic Party is? I know, because they've offered me nearly $15,000 to do just that, to try to take attention away from that whole genocide thing. And I also know, because I've unfortunately had to follow mutuals who started posting content suspiciously in line with the pitches I received to do just that within around 48 hours of me receiving those pitches. And suspiciously, nobody is disclosing on TikTok that they are getting paid to make videos just like this. So since nobody wants to tell you the Democrats are paying them thousands of dollars to talk about how awesome the Democrats are, I'm going to tell you, you guys should be aware that when you see videos like that, the Democrats are actively paying people to talk about how awesome the Democrats are.
100%. You remember how they called people conspiracy theorists for saying, oh my gosh, no, there's no way Harry Sisson is being forced to talk about this. No, that would be illegal. There's no way. I mean, are you saying that just anyone could go and meet President Barack Obama, President Biden, and you're just telling me that this just happens out of nowhere? I'm sorry, but I think it makes much more sense thinking that the Democratic Party is actually associating themselves with very specific creators to elevate very specific talking points, because they know that they are reaching a very specific audience. So, me personally, I'm very, very grateful that more people are talking about it. And look at some of the comments here. One of the top comments from Sam's Thoughts. She says, Harry Sisson, dot, dot, dot. And yes, I liked it too. Okay, come for me. I'm happy these conversations are being had. But really, I just think like we need to disclose this stuff. I'm actually thinking about preparing a post for the website that we just talked about yesterday, Policies for People. I really, really want to talk about, like, I think creators should be forced to disclose this stuff. Like, there's just no way. The fact that none of these videos have a disclosure that says paid partnership, that seems really, really corrupt to me. So if you're on this website and you see me post it and you want to engage in that conversation, go for it. Be on the lookout for it. I'm still working on it. But other people across platforms are saying the same thing, because this video actually went viral on X as well with over 1 million views. This person wrote, "Isn't this criminal if people aren't disclosing it?" They wrote, "Yes." Campaign finance violations, question mark. Someone, the creator wrote, "They are being paid straight from the campaign, but from organizations like Act Blue." I think it shouldn't matter. If you're taking money from even a PAC, a super PAC, whatever, if you're taking money and that PAC is designed specifically to get a specific candidate elected, you should be disclosing it. Like, are you kidding me? How is it this is ridiculous. Another comment said, "You should definitely name. You should definitely drop names, bestie." Ooh, look at this. Another person said, "At Kamala HQ thoughts, please." Another creator said, "Yes, they offered me $10,000." That's crazy. So, I also this is probably a good time to say I've never I've never accepted money from these people. No one has paid for my opinion. No one has paid for my thoughts ever, point blank. I know I'm not cool like these people. I know I don't have, hundreds of thousands of followers, but, sometimes rumors pop up, right? So immediately, I just want to say, no, not your boy, not now, not ever. Thank you. But other people like Harry Sisson, Under the Desk News, his friends, I'd be very hesitant over there. I really, really would. Now, another thing that I want to share, this is gonna be the last thing. This is already the end of the episode, but I thought this was so funny and like too funny to share. Like I already had all my other slides ready, and then I saw this afterwards. But since we talked about Call Her Daddy, this is like a mock you of Call Her Daddy, and it has this woman who's like really, really good at impersonating Kamala Harris, and I just think it is absolutely hilarious. Check this out.
Kamala Harris, I wanted to have you here today to talk about your positions, not only in politics, but also in the bedroom.
Oh my God. Thank you, Alex. I'm so happy to be here. I love Call Her Daddy. Do you know what the strongest weapon a woman has in this world?
The Gluck 9000.
Their voice. But I do carry a Glock.
People want to talk fracking. I want to talk
To let the daddy gang know, I relate to you. I deal with the same problems you deal with. We're all horny girl bosses, just trying to get to the top. Being middle class.
Are you into bondage?
Oh my God, Alex. When I was a prosecutor, I put a lot of men in handcuffs.
Let's talk Donald Trump.
Let me be clear. Donald Trump is neither mindful nor demure nor brat. Okay, when I'm elected, I will be the first president to pee sitting down.
What about
Oh my gosh. Her mannerisms are so on point. The fact that she's getting her hands perfectly, the voice seems to be on point. Also, like I just feel like she's just like jumping up and down, which I think is so like this is so funny. Jeez. Look at this. One of the top comments says her voice and mimicry is so on point. The FDR line is top shelf. The ending, you could have at least dressed up a little for the interview. Oh my gosh. That's crazy. Anyways, that's the end of the video. Let me know what you thought about some of these conversations. Let me know what you thought about Ron DeSantis being a complete boss and pretty much throwing Kamala Harris under the water. And let me know what you think of it. Let me know if you're sending prayers or thoughts to Governor DeSantis. If you're from Florida, how do you feel about what's happening right now in this crisis? And I'm sure a lot of other people, because I know people who watch this video from every part of this country, even across the world, people consume these videos and they probably have a lot of thoughts and a lot of prayers for you guys, and so do I. So if you're with us, let me know. I definitely want you to know that I'm here for you. Okay. And let me know what you thought about President Trump, just in my opinion, being a good communicator, especially when you put him up against Kamala Harris. And I'm not saying that he's the best communicator on the planet. I'm absolutely not saying that. There are much better communicators. And even whenever the JD Vance interview with Tim Walz happened, I was even telling you guys then, I still don't think that President Trump is the best representation of the Republican or the conservative movement, but he is the person for right now. But in the future, I don't know. Vance is really clever. He is strong on his feet. He knows how to communicate and articulate a point that millions of people are in agreement of. So the idea that we need strong communicators, we need strong commander frequencies here, to me, this makes sense. Are you in agreement? You let me know. Also, another thing that you could be in agreement of is, do you think that creators should start disclosing their finances in terms of if they got paid from the Democratic Party, also from the Republican Party? Like, I want to know who's bought and paid for. I want to know if the person that I'm consuming information from has accepted $10,000+ for this message, or if they're just a normal human being. Okay? Like, I want to know if you are in touch with my priorities, or if you have different priorities because you've accepted money from a PAC or a super PAC that has very clear intentions on getting someone else elected. Let me know what you think about all this in the comment section. I am excited to read them all and just engage with you all. Also, I know that I've been pretty bad at my outros recently. I've been saying, like, I've just been getting really cut off lately. So I'm gonna make sure it's really, really good this time around. But thank you so much for Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching and listening. I appreciate your time so much, and I really hope you enjoyed this episode. If you'd like to support what we're building here, please like and subscribe. It means a lot and it really helps us out. And if you want to see even more content from me, make sure to follow me on Instagram. I'm going to be sharing a lot more on there. Thank you so much. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time.